So today in kindergarten we're going to do some leaf chromatography. This is a procedure through which you can extract and separate the different colors that are found in deciduous leaves and leaves that do change colors. So to prep for this, quickly learns that with kindergarten it takes way too much time. If you have them go out and collect leaves, tried it, won't do that again, because also then everybody collected from the same tree, because let's be real, kindergartners have a little bit of a height problem, especially when you're trying to get green leaves. So I started collecting 5 different types of leaves myself before going into the classes. So today, while it's dark out, yes, with a flashlight, and it's October 24th, and we're starting to get to that point. Like, I don't know if I could do this next week because it was kind of difficult to find leaves that still were mainly green. Got some white oak leaves, and some of these you can see they're starting to change colors just a little bit. But you know, you do what you can, especially when you're 5'4". Have some ornamental maple type leaves, I think. I am not certain what type of tree this was. We have 2 of them. These shape leaves, but they start to turn kind of a reddish color. They didn't have a whole lot of green ones left, so I hope I have enough. Got some dogwood leaves, and again, tried to go for ones that were still green, but you can probably see on this one we're starting to get some of those spots, and some of the colors are starting to change, but you know, you can only do so much before 8 a.m. And I think these are regular maple leaves. I need to separate those off the stems. I probably shouldn't be plucking green leaves off of trees. That's really not great for the tree, but you know, all in the name of science. So I have my 5 different types of leaves ready. The students will work together at their little tables in groups of 3, 4, 5, however many, depending on the size of the class, in these 5 groups. I will tell them that they need to make leaf confetti. They need to tear up these leaves into teeny tiny little pieces, and they'll put them into a beaker. Of course, they feel very impressive to be using beakers. I've chosen to use plastic ones because they do have kind of a flat bottom. They don't have a ridge there, and also because of the mashing. I just get a little nervous with kindergartners with glass. Now, speaking of the mashing, really a mortar and pestle would work best, but it's not going to give kindergartners things that might actually smash. So I made our own pestles. This is just, I think it's 1/2 inch, yes, 1/2 inch CPVC, and I chose CPVC over PVC for a specific reason, and then 1/2 inch end caps. The CPVC end caps have this flat bottom. It's not domed. The PVC end caps are more domed, and we're going to use these like a pestle, where after the students mash or tear up the leaves, then they end up mashing them in the beakers after I've added some rubbing alcohol. I choose to use the 91% alcohol just because it's so much stronger. I'm certain 70 would work and probably would be less caustic, but you know, I use the 91 for a lot of other things, so that's what I have on hand. I do remind the kids, I'm very cautious to not call these smashers. I call them smushers, because they say there's a difference between smashing something and smushing, because I don't want to get the splashback of the alcohol. So I ask the students to smush, and because they're kindergartners, we practice counting to 10, where they take turns in their little groups, where one student smushes for 10, and then somebody else smushes for 10. After we're all smushed up, I come by and I look at their disgusting leaf juice. I'm like, oh yeah, I think you got it. And then I transfer just the liquid part. It's okay if some leaves get in there, and it actually might work better if I really had a nice good solution of leaf juice. If there were leaf particles in there, but it's just so messy. So I kind of strain off the leaves and look with the table. I'm like, what color is that juice? And they see that you just see it green. It's different varieties of a pretty vivid green, but green nonetheless. And I transfer it into another beaker, and then I just take the leaf mush away to throw out in my office. With the juice from the leaf mush, now that they've got their beaker with that leaf juice, I have cut up coffee filter papers that, with the teachers in the room, I'll write a student's name in Sharpie on, and actually it would probably work better if I did it in pencil. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm just right. I have been doing it in Sharpie. It actually would be smarter to do it in pencil, because Sharpie will be, rubbing alcohol is a solvent for Sharpie, by the way, fun cleaning tip. Whereas pencil won't be diluted, won't be dissolved. It's too early. Won't be dissolved by the rubbing alcohol. I really like the flat cone filters, because then they end up being these nice flat folds, so that the name can hang on the outside of the cup, or the beaker, excuse me, gotta use scientific language, and then the other end just dangles down into the leaf juice. To make the filter paper strips that I've used, I have purchased the cone coffee filters. I've gone for the number 4, just because they're the bigger size. Some places you can find the 2, which is the smaller size. And I figured out that I could cut the filter in a way that I could get as much length as I possibly could. Now what that ends up looking like on the filter, I cut it like this, and you can see that I've got one little corner here which ends up being slightly diagonal, but so be it. So I cut it into something like this from this, and then because I have the tools and I want to use them, I'd rather work smart than hard, I then use a paper slicer and slice. It ends up being about 3 inches here, so I slice them into 1-inch strips, so I can get about 3 out of these, and it might be, I don't know, 6/8, something, 6/8, 3/4. It's a little bit smaller than 1 inch, but that ends up working well, so that I can get a lot out of these coffee filters. But I originally tried with traditional coffee filters and cut those into long strips, but then I needed to have bamboo skewers that the filter papers were attached to, that could rest across the top, and it was hard to do. It was hard to manage as an adult working with kindergartners. I think that these filter strips are a much, I do feel like a genius for figuring that one out, because it's much easier and the kids can place them in versus me having to do that. After we get the filter papers in the beaker with the leaf juice, then we'll set them aside for a while. I found that if we try and look right away, the kids won't see anything happening. Sometimes I pull them to this, like we'll go to the carpet and we'll read a book, Sky Tree, which shows a tree season after season and how it changes, and we look at how the leaves change, but also the weather around the tree. And then we go back and we look in our beakers, and after 10 minutes, the kids can start to see that the liquid is starting to wick up the filter paper, so that's a good first observation. But then we go put these on the windowsill or someplace out of the way, and then I come back a couple of hours later to have the students look at the filter paper, and that's when we actually get to see the different colors. Discovered that it's a good idea to have magnifying glasses for the kindergartners, because magnifying glasses are just cool to look at things with, but it helps them see that there are 2 or 3 different band colors. I'm certain in other parts of the country you get much wider, more vibrant band colors, but here in Georgia, where we're, yes, we get a fall and we get our wonderful ice storms in January, don't quite have the fall colors I'm certain that someplace like Vermont would have, and I've seen pictures of like the North Carolina mountains where they've got good colors. So just kind of depending on where you are. I'm not certain how it would work in a place like Florida where there are deciduous trees, but they don't necessarily have the colors that change, or if you would need to look at them at a different time of year, like in the spring when the leaves just get pushed out by the new leaf. I haven't tried it anyplace else yet, but this is how I prep for leaf chromatography for kindergarten.